Today I'm going to be presenting to you some of the most powerful and important Pokemon in the entire franchise and their placement within the Pokemon hierarchy. This goes beyond just the most powerful Pokemon, but who maintains a position of importance within the scope of the entire multiverse. I want you to grab a snack or even a drink as we dive into the rabbit hole of the entire Pokemon hierarchy. In the beginning, there was nothing, just an empty void of nothingness surrounding a single egg. However, this egg one day hatched, and what emerged from it was a being of ultimate power. This being is known to us as the Original One, the creator of all things. This entity went on to create 6 other separate beings. Those beings were Dialga, Palkia, Giratina, Azelf, Uxie, and Mesprit. These beings make up the highest tier of the Pokemon hierarchy, which I've nicknamed the ones above all. Yes, very original, I know. The creation trio consists of Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina, who then went on to create the entire Pokemon multiverse as a whole. Not only that, but Dialga and Palkia both embody the concepts of time and space respectively, maintaining the balance of the entire multiverse. Now, Giratina is a big outlier here because it was a great evil and threat to the entire multiverse. Giratina wanted Arceus' power and rebelled against him, which then led to the creation of the Distortion World to contain Giratina, preventing him from harming the real world. Now, Giratina is much more powerful than any of the other 5 cosmic beings, which is why Arceus himself needed to come down and seal him away. Giratina is always shown to be overwhelming Palkia and Dialga, and his banishment to the Distortion World is proof of his great power, which is why he ranks as the 2nd strongest Pokemon in the entire multiverse, only behind his creator. Now, Dialga and Palkia are next, as they are the concepts of space and time. When Dialga's heart beats, it means that the flow of time is stable, and with Palkia, every breath he takes makes the flow of space stable. They are shown to be each other's equal, with neither being able to overpower the other. Arceus intended this to be the case because if it wasn't, the balance of power would shift and cause utter chaos. I also believe that Giratina's creation was made to put Dialga and Palkia to work and make sure they behave themselves, but over time it became too obsessed with Arceus' power. Now, the Lake Tree are the last few cosmic entities that govern the rules of the Pokemon multiverse. Their existence makes up the foundation of the Pokemon world. Emotions, willpower, and knowledge are only a small part of their being. Their power is so great that all 3 of them can subdue or pacify Dialga and Palkia. They do what Giratina was likely supposed to do and monitor Palkia and Dialga's anger to make sure they don't cause the balance of the multiverse to break. However, all 3 of them are needed to subdue the beings of time and space, which is why they are ranked last in the ones above all. Now, after the creation of the entire Pokemon multiverse, the first Pokemon began to form in the shape of a mythical being we call Mew. Mew then evolved into the Pokemon we know today through normal evolution, and this process created cute little creatures that do little harm. But not every creature born into this world was created equal, which brings us to the 2nd level of the Pokemon hierarchy, which I've nicknamed the Protectors and Destroyers. These beings are creatures of immense power and use said power to either protect life or destroy it. Starting off this tier, we have the essence of light itself, Ultra Necrozma. This Pokemon is the single most powerful creature in this tier and serves as a destroyer to the Pokemon universe. Ultra Necrozma was stated to be capable of robbing the entire light of all worlds from ultra space, and these worlds are their own parallel universes as told to us by Dia from Pokemon Sun and Moon. This would not only make Ultra Necrozma the most powerful being outside the ones above all, but also the greatest threat the Pokemon multiverse has ever seen to this day. But just as evil will always exist, good will always come to fight against it. This is where Zygarde comes in. Zygarde fought Ultra Necrozma within the Sun and Moon manga and not only put up a really good fight, but also took part in defeating Ultra Necrozma alongside Solgaleo and Lunala. This would make Zygarde relative to a being who has the capability of consuming entire universes. Now, Zygarde did need the assistance of Solgaleo and Lunala, which is why I do not believe, even with his new Mega form, is above Ultra Necrozma. Right below Zygarde, we have Mega Rayquaza as the cosmic protector of the Pokemon world. Rayquaza was originally 2nd to Ultra Necrozma, but dropped down a level after the events of Legend CA. You see, Mega Zygarde's move, Nile Light, is stated to defy the very laws of nature itself. This ability, combined with the fact that he fought relative to Ultra Necrozma, makes him above Mega Rayquaza, as Rayquaza would stand little chance against a being that can break physics itself. But Rayquaza isn't to be underestimated. This cosmic protector has defended the Pokemon planet from the meteor that came with Deoxys. This meteor was capable of destroying the entire planet, but this is a much bigger deal than you might think, so let me explain. The Pokemon planet isn't actually a normal planet. In fact, it is much greater and durable than our own planet. The reason being is that the Pokemon planet houses the Mirror Cave in the Kalos region. The Mirror Cave was stated to hold an infinite number of parallel universes similar to Ultra Space, so each mirror leads to another, and another, and another infinitely. This means the meteor that Deoxys sent was going to destroy said universes inside the mirrors, since they reside inside the planet. So Rayquaza didn't just destroy a planet level threat, but rather a meteor capable of destroying an infinite number of parallel universes. To add more context, these universes are already existing worlds connected to each other by the mirrors, making this an infinite chain of universes. So basically in monkey terms, since Pokemon has an infinite amount of universes, there would be an infinite amount of mirrors. And that other mirror cave would lead to another mirror cave, and that other mirror cave would lead to another mirror cave, and it's just ad infinitum. So in short, Pokemon supports the many worlds interpretation theory. This makes Rayquaza the third highest ranked member of the Protectors/Destroyers. Now we have a couple more Pokemon to go through within this level of the Pokemon hierarchy. And right below Rayquaza at the number 4 spot, we have Terapagos. Now I know this might surprise the casual Pokemon fan, so let me elaborate. Terapagos isn't this high up because of raw strength or destructive capability. She doesn't have the power to destroy universes like some of the other members in the Protector/Destroyers. The main reason she's this high up isn't because of her strength, but rather her abilities. In the Indigo Disc DLC, we see that Terapagos has the ability to manipulate the dream world and bring back beings from the past, such as Turo or Sada. The mist is also proof of that, but why is affecting the dream world so important? Well, the dream world is one of the highest dimensional planes of existence within the Pokemon cosmology. I'll try to dumb this down to monkey terms as much as possible, so bear with me. In Pokemon, a dream is not just a simple cognitive function, but rather a whole other reality itself. This is further elevated upon with the Eternal Battle Reverie, where you are able to keep all experience and items gained from that space. And to go even one step further, the Pokemon Unknown is capable of making all dreams into reality. Pokemon's dream world is incredibly vast, and just like other dimensions listed previously, is infinite, because an infinite number of universes would also equate to an infinite number of dreams. Professor Turo also states this in the Indigo Disc DLC, where the dream world is even further beyond the fabric of space and time, which solidifies it as a higher dimensional plane of existence than, the Mirror Cave. So if Terapagos has the ability to mess with the dream world, then that would make him a multi-universal level threat to the entire Pokemon world. And since he has anger issues, I included him here as a potential destroyer. Moving forward, the next two Pokemon are potential destroyers within the Pokemon world, but have served to protect it as well, so they're in like a little gray area. These Pokemon are the Tau Trio, aka Zekrom, Reshiram, and Kyurem. Zekrom and Reshiram have been stated to have world-destroying powers by Alder in Black and White. And as we established earlier, the Pokemon planet isn't just a planet, but houses the Mirror Cave, which has an infinite number of parallel universes. Meaning, if Zekrom and Reshiram have the power to destroy the world, that would mean they have the destructive capacity to eliminate the Mirror Cave with it. This would also include Kyurem if he merges with either Pokemon. I still have them below Rayquaza, as Rayquaza has better on-screen feats. Same thing with Zagrod and Ultra Necrozma. And because Terapagos can affect the dream world, I would put her slightly above the Tau Trio. But I wouldn't necessarily be mad at you for putting the Tau Trio above Terapagos. It just depends on the argument you're using. Now, right after the Tau Trio are the Kings of Alola, Solgaleo, and Lunala. Now, the Kings of Alola may seem more like forces of nature on the surface, but they have helped protect the world in times of crisis. As I mentioned previously, Solgaleo and Lunala both participated in defeating Ultra Necrozma with their strongest attacks. So if the Kings of Alola defeated Ultra Necrozma, why aren't they higher up? Why aren't they above Terapagos or Rayquaza even? Well, the main reason as to why is simply because they have been defeated by Ultra Necrozma many times before the final fight. And many could argue that Zygarde was the one putting in most of the work, and we can already establish how impactful affecting the dream world is, so they aren't above Terapagos either. And Zekrom and Reshiram have much better statements in just their base forms. Now, below the Kings of Alola, we have Deoxys. Now, Deoxys' only big feat is being strong enough to telekinetically bring the meteor to destroy Earth. This would give him the destructive capacity to destroy the entire world, which, yes, you guessed it, includes the Mirror Cave, which, without repeating myself over and over again, has lots of universes in it. So this would make Deoxys a multi-universal level threat, and would obviously make him a destroyer, as in literally every timeline we see him in, he's always screwing with Earth. And the last members in the Protector/Destroyers, we have the Primals. Now, in the Pokemon manga, it was stated that the Primals were capable of destroying Meteor Delta. This would also make the Primals a multi-universal level threat relative to Rayquaza and Deoxys. But the issue is that they need their Primal forms, while Rayquaza has destroyed the Meteor and Deoxys in base. The Primals also have nothing on Pokemon like Solgaleo and Lunala, as they are nowhere near Necrozma's level. Now, you could make the argument that they are above Deoxys, but it's a little bit iffy, as Deoxys is constantly fighting Rayquaza, and although he always loses, Rayquaza is just much more powerful than the Primals. Deoxys has been shown to be capable of taking hits from Rayquaza and dodging some of his attacks, so that's why I would put Deoxys slightly above the Primals. Now we move on to the third level within the Pokemon hierarchy. These beings are anomalies among the Pokemon world and are much more powerful than the Protector/Destroyers, but fall short of being included within the ones above all. They are put below the Protectors and Destroyers because their rules are so unique and different, but make no mistake, they are more powerful. Kicking off the anomalies, we have by far the most powerful one, Regigigas. Regigigas is manga variant was able to chokeslam the Creation Trio members Palkia and Dialga. He also damaged the Renegade Pokemon Giratina with an Ice Punch. This absolute unit was brawling the entire Creation Trio in mere chapters, which easily reserves his #1 spot in the Anomalies. But I'm sure you now have a couple of questions. If Regigigas was capable of overwhelming the entire Creation Trio, why isn't he a part of the ones above all? That doesn't make any sense. And that's a great question, so let me answer this. Pokemon's highest level beings have something that we like to call avatars. What are avatars, you might ask? Well, they are fragmented versions of the original being. Same goes for the rest of the Creation Trio. That's why in some iterations you might see weaker versions of these Pokemon like the Arceus and Crown Jewel. They are all merely a small fraction of the true being. So Regigigas merely defeated the avatars of the Creation Trio, but regardless, the avatars are still powerful. They still embody the very concepts of space and time. The avatars of the Creation Trio are still above the entire hierarchy of Pokemon, as they control the very fabric of space-time. So all of this would put Regigigas as an anomaly among the Pokemon hierarchy and the strongest being outside of the ones above all. Moving on to second place, we have the lunar duo, Darkrai and Cresselia. Now Darkrai has a similar story to Regigigas in the sense that Darkrai also fought on par with Palkia and Dialga in the Rise of Darkrai movie. Not only did he tank direct hits, but casually dodge their attacks as well, making him relative in speed too. And because Cresselia is Darkrai's counterpart, it makes her automatically equal to Darkrai. It's the same way how neither Groudon or Kyogre are stronger than each other. This goes for other Pokemon as well, such as Palkia and Dialga. But I want to make one thing clear, that being the difference between avatars and species. Now the only Pokemon that have actual avatars of their original being are the ones above all, no one else. Any other Pokemon such as Mewtwo, Darkrai, etc. are species of Pokemon, meaning that Darkrai A could be weaker than Darkrai B. This is due to the fact that Mew evolved into almost all Pokemon. The ones above all existed before Mew's creation, which is why they have avatars, not species. Everybody else is a part of a group of species as they evolved from Mew. So I'm sorry to say that Tobias's Darkrai is not as strong as the one from the Rise of Darkrai movie. If you want to determine whether or not Tobias's Darkrai is as powerful as the one from the movie, you need either very strong statements or just plain feats, which Tobias's entire team have none of. Now we are at the final level in the hierarchy of the Pokemon world, which I have named the lesser beings. These Pokemon are significantly stronger than most normal creatures, but fall incredibly short compared to everyone else mentioned previously. Now at the top of this category, we have Mew. As the ancestor to all Pokemon, it's quite obvious that Mew is at least more powerful than most Pokemon, but what makes him strong enough to be in the lesser beings? Well, it's mainly because of Mewtwo. You see, Mewtwo has actually fought other legendary Pokemon such as Deoxys and Zygarde 50%. On top of this, his more powerful form, Shadow Mewtwo, allows him to create his own galaxy dimension, and since Mew has superior genes, it makes him stronger than Mewtwo. And right after Mew, we would obviously have Mewtwo for the same reasons mentioned previously. In rare cases like these, the second version is not superior, as Mew is the perfected version of the two. And that is pretty much the end of the list as far as the Pokemon hierarchy goes, but I'm sure you all have a bunch of Pokemon in mind that you believe should be on this list. Now let's start with the most obvious, being Eternatus. Now people always think that Eternatus is this all-powerful Pokemon second to Arceus, but that simply isn't true. Now the first argument people bring up is the fact that Eternatus is shown to be capable of warping space-time. This leads people to believe he is above the concepts themselves, therefore being more powerful than Dialga and Palkia. But man, this is far from the truth. You see, warping space and time does not make you above said concepts. That is merely one aspect of the concepts themselves. Palkia and Dialga do way more than just warping space and time. Their existence itself is linked to the fabric of the universe. If Palkia and Dialga die, the concepts go with them, and Eternatus along with everyone else can't exist without space or time. Palkia can do much more than just warp space. He, alongside Dialga and Giratina, helped shape the entire multiverse as we know it. Warp abilities are just a fraction of what's possible when you have the entire concepts of space and time in the palm of your hand. Now the second argument that I see from people is Eternatus having infinite energy. Well, oh boy, guess what? A lot of Pokemon have infinite energy, such as Victini. Does this make them all-powerful beings? Not necessarily, no. Having infinite energy is one thing, but being able to control it and affect the world with it is another. Eternatus' actions only affected Galar, which is the size of a country. Meanwhile, Palkia and Dialga's existence has an effect on the entire multiverse. This makes him a sad country-level threat, nowhere near even Mewtwo or Mew. Listen, could infinite energy destroy a planet? Absolutely. It could destroy the entire universe, and that's an understatement. But the fact of the matter remains, Eternatus was only shown to affect the country. Zacian is a bit stronger, as it was stated that his sword alone could cut the entire ocean in half. Moving on to other Pokemon, we have Genesect. Now, Genesect has been shown to fight on par with Mewtwo in the movie, but again, like we have said previously, there are many variants of Mewtwo. As far as we know, this Mewtwo is featless, which makes the battle even less impressive. Now, there are some Pokemon that can be given honorable mentions, such as the Swords of Justice or specifically Keldeo. Now, Keldeo has fought against Kyurem, who we already established has world-destroying powers, but the reason I didn't include him or the other Swords of Justice is because I didn't really care about them, to be honest. I feel like they have so much potential in lore, but we get like 3 minutes of screen time of the actual members. That movie also sucked, I'm sorry. But Keldeo realistically did manage to damage Kyurem, so that would put him almost at rock bottom within the Protectors/Destroyers. He is still very weak compared to Solgaleo and Lunala, I would say. And of course, the Regis also exist who were capable of holding back the base versions of Groudon and Kyogre in the manga. But the base versions of those Pokemon are so weak that I just can't justify putting them that high. But there you have it. That is the definitive hierarchy of the Pokemon multiverse, and it isn't based on bias or opinion, it's just a matter of evidence and fact. There are some arguments you can make for very specific Pokemon being higher than others, but something like Arceus isn't the creator of Pokemon, yeah, no, don't say that. Of course, if you have any other questions, feel free to comment down below, but otherwise, I hope you found this video informational. And if you'd like to give me a like or even subscribe, which is totally free by the way, it would mean a lot to me. I'm trying to make YouTube my job, and that would put me one step closer, so thank you. But that's all Yuki wrote, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.